good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl Toya, and this episode is called Produce Organically. And I decided to, well, first, y'all know I have broken up Universal Teas for this year into 4 quarters of focus. And happy July. We are now officially in the third quarter of the year and our third quarter of our 4 quarters of focus. And so I am calling July, August, and September the produce phase because now that we have planned, now that we have prepared ourselves and we've proceeded with those plans, it's time for us to now produce the fruits of our labor. It's now for us to start to become the people that we've been wishing we could be. It's time for us to step into the opportunities, into the relationships, into the friendships, to build the courage that we've wanted to have. It's time for us to start to produce what we've been working for, what we've planned for, right? And also understanding that when we are producing things, sometimes we produce things that are not that good and not that negative, and we're going to talk about what that is. So getting into the title of the episode, Produce Organically, the word produce, and I said produce organically because it's kind of play on like fruits and vegetables, but that's not the type of produce I'm talking about. But when I say produce, this is a cause, a particular result or situation to happen or come into existence. So this is something that causes something to come into existence, to produce something. So just how farmers produce crops is because they've caused it. The result of their work has caused these crops to come into existence. The result of the work that you've been doing on yourself allows you to evolve. The work that you've been doing in your career allows you to get a promotion. You know what I mean? The work that you've done in your relationships eventually will lead you into marriage or into parenthood. And so that's what I mean when I say produce. To get, to gain, to get existence, and to put the things that you've been working into the physical realm. The word organic means something that is relating to or derived from living matter, right? That's the first definition. But the one that I think is more fitting is something that is produced or involved in production without the use of artificial agents. So things that are natural. So when I say that I want you all to think about producing organically, we get into the phase after we've worked for something, after we've planned for something, when we're manifesting, and we feel like we now have to go in constantly check it, right? I don't know if y'all know, but my mom would always tell me, like, you can't cook constantly looking at the stove, constantly checking the food. You got to let it happen naturally and trust the process. So a large part of me calling this episode Produce Organically is me pushing you all to trust the process, trust the work that you've done, trust the planning that you've done, and understand that if you've properly done the work, then you will yield the results that you want, okay? And then the first point that I want to get into is I put once you've made up your mind and did the proper preparation, you don't want to force it. We sometimes focus on when things are gonna come to us. When am I gonna get the relationship? When am I gonna make more money? When is my business gonna take off? You know what I mean? When are me and my partner gonna get back to a steady place? And so you need to not so much focus. If you've done the work, if you've done the necessary things to take care of yourself and to develop yourself, don't focus on the win, WHIN, just focus on the win, WIN, right? So when you actually win, when you actually accomplish this, focus on that. And then the specific thing of like the tangible things that we want to have, you want to have a better relationship, you want to make more money, you want to be able to have healthy friendships. I think we need to also remember that we can't harbor what we want that to specifically look like for us, right? Because God still has a say so. You know what I mean? Things work out in the universe in ways that we don't always have control of. But we need to understand that when we are producing things organically, you're going to get the love that you want. You're going to get the finances that you want. It just may not always look exactly how you wrote it down in your plan. And I know we went through a whole 3 months of our plan phase, but I also mentioned somewhere in there, I don't remember which episode, y'all, but somewhere in there, I mentioned that sometimes our plans don't go accordingly. Sometimes they get derailed, and sometimes we may have to pivot and change certain things. So don't get so stuck on the exact way that you have planned things out, but focus on the win. Focus on, I've been working on my peace of mind. I've been working on developing myself and being better for myself. So I know that eventually I'm going to have the friendships to match. I know that eventually I'm going to have the job to match. We can't have so much of a say so, and that's the organic part. Let things unfold for you organically, because once you've worked on who you are, once I've made up my mind that I want to be this type of person, let it happen organically. And I can tell you, I'm my own business. So I decided to step away from the classroom, still in education. And I did it kind of prematurely, but I had already made up my mind, like, I don't want to be in the classroom. And I would get asked, like, you sure you don't want to stay? You know, maybe you can move to teaching this, or maybe you can move to teaching that. I had stood true on the fact of I will not be in a classroom next year. I will not be dealing with this same type of stress that the classroom brings. And no, I didn't have a specific thing secured, but the things that I went and saw after aligned with what I wanted to be. And your girl got a new job doing exactly the type of work that I wanted to do. And so it's just that, right? I didn't force it. I didn't force myself to worry about how. I didn't force myself to worry about when. I made a plan, right? Like, if this doesn't happen for me an X amount of time, what do my finances need to look like so that I can still pay bills? You know what I mean? So I can still have a social life. But I never lost sight of the vision of the type of job or where I wanted to move in my career. You have to do that with your soul work, with your heart work, with the things that you want for yourself. I know that I want to be an amazing mom, so I might have to change up some of the things that I was taught, or some of the things that I was told, or some of the suggestions I've gotten on what that looks like. I have to rely on community. And I think that's where I have fallen short now that I've been doing my own self-reflection, is I forget how essential community is in your progress. When you're producing things, and a lot of the things that I'm producing, especially the big announcement that I have for y'all at the end of this episode, I had to have community to do it. Because this is the vision, but the steps, each step required me to learn something new. And I really didn't know what it looked like to learn that thing. So you have to let go of your ego, let go of this know-it-all attitude. And I think that's what we talked about in the last episode. Let go of this idea that if you need help, you're somehow weak, or you're not as sufficient, or you're not going to be as much of a boss. A true boss knows how to be an amazing student, knows how to sit in the room with people, take in the information that they need, and then use it in their own right to make them a boss. Being a boss isn't just giving orders. And I had a quote that came up on my phone. I think it was this morning, and it said, "A boss has a title, but." What did it say? A boss has a title, but a true leader has the people. And so, especially in this realm where I want to make connections, and I want to inspire people, and I want to lead workshops and lead these and facilitate these different things, I can't just be a boss. I just have to be an amazing leader, because if I'm able to lead, that means I have people who will support me when I'm feeling as though I'm not in the place or the mindset or have the physical capacity to do the things that I've been wanting to do. So when you are producing things organically, one, you have to be true to you. I've said several times and on several episodes, like, you can't always please the crowd. You have to let go of the concept that you're a people pleaser. You have to embrace the idea that sometimes people are going to be uncomfortable with the things that you do, the things that you say, because it's unfamiliar to them. It's unfamiliar to them because they don't see the work that you're doing behind the scenes. If you're a person who kind of works under the scenes or works real low key, and you just pop out with some new shit, of course, when you pop out with the new shit, people are going to be like, what is that? Like, that's not even you. That's not who you are. But you haven't seen the work that I've been doing before this presentation. You feel me? So be true to the work. Be true to the things that people don't see, don't hear, don't understand, because eventually you will find the people who do. Eventually you will find the people who are going to benefit from you. What's up, Corwin? You know I'm going to come on here and say a little bit. You feel me? But it's that. Producing things organically, you have to understand that you have to find peace. And I was just listening to, and I don't know if y'all maybe have seen a clip of DC Young Fly on a Breakfast Club, and he was kind of talking about how you can't really receive your blessings if you're too busy moving. You really have to get still. So once I've done the work, once I've said that I trust myself, once I said that I'm satisfied with the woman that I've become, with the dark and the inner work that I've become, once I've sat in a room with my demons and addressed my own issues, once I've decided the type of life that I want for myself, and I started aligning myself with the things that match that, why am I worrying about them? Because if you're constantly moving and you're constantly worried, that's not freeing up your mental space. That's blocking the things from coming to you. You won't even recognize the goodness coming to you if you can't sit down and accept it. You have to learn how to be still. And for all my Bible readers, the Bible says peace be still, and that's exactly what that means. You can't experience true peace unless you're still. You know, that's just the same concept. Think about it as if, like, You trying to get something from somebody and they trying to meet up with you, and every time you tell them somewhere to meet you, you end up going somewhere else because you can't wait for them. It's been 5-10 minutes and she still ain't here with my stuff, so I'm gonna go here. And now they trying to find you at another place and try to find you at another place. Your blessings, your growth, your peace, your prosperity won't find you if you can't be still. And I know a lot of us like to be booked and busy. I'm constantly moving. I got this appointment. I got this booking. I got this show. I got this to do. But you're still wanting peace. You're still wanting to be happy with yourself. You're too busy running around trying to please everybody and trying to meet the expectations of everybody else that you aren't allowing yourself and your blessings to come to you because they don't know where the address is. You constantly moving. You know, and you have to figure out what is going to take for you to sit still or what you need to do, because I promise if you don't find the time to chill, if you don't find the time to sit down, God is going to make the time for you and you probably won't like it. So you have to understand that producing organically is also synonymous to trusting yourself, trusting the work that you've done, trusting the beliefs that you've set for yourself, and also understanding that it may not show up in the exact package that you had hoped for, or not even hoped for, or in this exact package that you imagine, but you have to understand that things are deeper than the physical. What is this giving me? What is it that I want out of this? Not just what do I want it to look like, you know what I mean? And I struggle with that even, and I tell y'all my business all the time. We're looking for a new job or a new work outside of the classroom. I had on my mind the organization that I was a part of, what I wanted it to look like there. Like, okay, if I'm not in the classroom here, I'm gonna do it there. And I applied for the same position twice in that institution, did not get it. Went outside of that institution and people were on me like, yes, you're ready. You're doing this. I found new mentors. I had new connections. I got new suggestions and I found a new job. I had to step outside of what was normal. I had to step outside of what was comfortable because it wasn't serving me. And even though I wasn't leaving saying, oh, I'm going to be working here, or, oh, I'm going to be, it was like, I'm going to find a job that's not this. I don't know what it is yet, but I trust it. I've done the work. I've built my resume. I've made the connections. I've done, I'm on the websites that I need to be on. I'm talking to the people that I need to talk to. I put myself in position to get there, and you have to trust that. But I also had to trust that it didn't look like the original vision that I had. And if I got stuck on failing, if you will, at getting the position in the organization that I was with twice, that would have really diminished my mental capacity, or that would have really taken a toll on what I feel like I could accomplish. And I also realized that even losing that and moving into a new space in a new company, that now I have time to really build this brand. Now I really have time to manifest new things or work on new things and build my own businesses and build the things that I need to do. You really have to learn how to pivot. Because a part of producing organically, some things are going to come naturally that you didn't expect. For example, I know a lot of y'all done got pregnant or got somebody pregnant and wasn't trying to. Y'all produced that baby organically. You weren't even trying, and now you have this child that you love so much, the light of my life, this, that, and the other. Even with the struggles that I've heard parenthood got, and I hear it's a little struggle for y'all. You also found the light in that, and it's that same thing with your life, with your blessings, with your money, with your finances. You put yourself in position, you prepare yourself when you notice that things are taking a turn that's something different from what you expected. A part of producing organically, you also have to understand that all of the responsibility of the work is on you. So when we're in a phase of production and becoming and growing and seeing ourselves and putting ourselves in a different light, that's your work. We get easily, and let me know if it's just me, but it's so easy for us to say, well, I can't do this because I got kids, or I can't do this because my money ain't right, or I can't do this because of this. You find every reason why something can't work, but you have to realize that sometimes it's mental work. Sometimes it's like, yeah, financially I can't do this, but can you work with what you got? Yeah, I may not be able to go here. Who can I call on the phone to help me? And that's where community comes in. So you have to be able to shift and pivot when you're on this quest to becoming and to doing and to growing and to manifesting and to developing who you are and who you want to become, because that responsibility is yours. It's your vision. It's your blessing. It's your purpose. It's your divinity. And you can't put that pressure on anyone else. You also have to understand, once you build community, nobody is yours to keep. They're not always going to be your assistant. They're not always going to be the person to help you plan out your business. They're not always going to be this. Life is full of ebbs and flows, comes and goes. So you have to know and understand that, and don't get so caught up in the things that come and go, as long as your vision is clear. As long as you put yourself and you build connections and build network for who you want to become. If I want to be, I'm trying to think of some other examples that I maybe haven't used before. Let me know some things that y'all are working on. But if I want to be a business owner, for example, this is something that I'm working on in my life, and I don't know. I don't speak business talk. I read, I write, I teach. That's what I do. And so I could easily be like, well, baby, I don't do business. I don't know numbers. I don't do business plans. I don't do financials. I don't fix credit. I don't do any of that. That's easy. Instead of saying, this is my vision to build this brand, to build this business, to make this impact, you have to commit to all the other work in order to organically produce that. And I think we forget, when we say produce things organically, we think there's no work involved, like it just springs up. No, farmers don't produce crops that they haven't planted. You won't produce seeds that you haven't planted. You won't produce growth in anything that has not been planted. And that takes work. You know what I mean? When people are gardening and planting, they have to make sure the soil is good. Is your foundation solid? They have to make sure that they're committed to plucking the weeds, to hoeing the garden. And everything that they're producing is organic, is natural, is from the earth, it's for them, but it's also a production. Again, we're saying the word produce is also a production of the labor that they put in. So don't psych yourself out, even if this episode being called Produce Organically. Yes, you're making things come into existence naturally, but they are a natural production of the work that you've done. Don't psych yourself out. Okay? The next point that I want to make, you also have to know that when you produce things organically, you have to do some dark work. And if you haven't already listened to my Sankofa series, please go back and do that, because we talk a lot about doing the work from our past and acknowledging our past. A lot of dark work. If you want to be better, you have to sit and acknowledge the times when you were not. If you want to be a great friend, if you want to repair a friendship, you have to go back and realize the time in that situation when you were not the best friend. You know, you want to have more money and you want to build finances. You have to go back into your past and think about the times when you were not good with your finances, when you were spending frivolously, so that you don't make those same mistakes again, so that you can learn from them and build from them and acknowledge them. And a lot of times when we are trying to produce things organically, and I'm going to stick with like friendships. So if you want to rekindle a friendship, you have to go back and realize and acknowledge where you messed up, where there may have been misunderstandings. Because I know sometimes we get in these situations where it's like, well, I ain't do nothing, I didn't mess up. Well, where did you misunderstand, or where did you fail to understand, or what is it that you didn't comprehend? So now when you go to have difficult conversations with friends, with families, with partners, it's now organic for you to have difficult conversations, because you're not afraid of it ending or somebody being offended. And even if they are offended, knowing that you can name that. And I think that's something that I've really learned, is how to have difficult conversations without having my own defenses up, or having my own opinions, or letting my mind run into safety mode, like creating stories that will make me feel safe. Once you start to do the dark work, you can name like, yo, this is something that I do that I don't like, that I want to acknowledge, and I want you to let me know. So then you can have people to let you know when you're doing those things. And you're going to produce them organically. Yo, I know that in the past, even if I can't rekindle this friendship, this relationship, if I can't go back to that business partner, let me recognize where I went wrong, so that I can produce the types of relationships that I want organically and not have to force it. And a lot of times when we feel like we're forcing these relationships, when we're forcing peace and we don't really have it, when we're forcing fake confidence or fake being a boss, like we can say all these things, it's because it's just that, it's fake, it's not organic. So the moment that you're put under pressure, you crack, because the foundation is not solid. You feel me? And then the next thing that I want to think about is when you've done the work, and I wrote this down, I've done the work to understand and accept. Acceptance is a big part. Who I am in the world, and I've decided who I want to be. I have to trust that it will come to me. So you do the work. You sit with yourself. You have to trust that it will come. And like I mentioned before, when you're not trusting, you're creating mental blocks for yourself. People don't know where to send your blessings. God doesn't know where to send your blessings if you too busy running all around and changing things and changing your mind. And you really have to learn how to be still and accept that the things will come to you. Don't go constantly bothering God. That's just like, let's say you put in the order, a catering order, and literally every hour you calling them asking, is it done? Is this done? When it's gonna be done? Okay, how much longer? Okay, what you adding in the pot now? What you putting in the pan now? You can't force things. It's gonna come organically. You've done the work. You've put in the order. You were specific in your order. Let it come to you. And you got to learn how to, especially in difficult times, we want to rush things like, yo, I'm really pressed for this. No, you don't have the money to travel like you want to, but this can be time you're taking to develop your inner self, your inner voice. So learn how to, what they say, dance in the rain is a quote that I've heard before. So learn how to dance in the rain. Learn how to accept situations as they are so that you can figure out who you need to be in them. So that when that storm is over, or when you overcome this hurdle, you now know how to handle it. Because you got to be the same person. If you are spiteful and you're a liar when you broke, when you get to $1 million, you still gonna be that with just $1 million. And the same people that didn't want you around, that really cared for you when you were broke, aren't gonna be there. Yeah, you'll have some people that'll come and kick it with you, drink with you, be on the yacht, on the boat. But you have to understand the people of substance that you won't show up if you haven't done the inner work. The people who are really going to be there for you if you lose that $1 million, if you lose that job, if you lose that car, if you can't do the things that you were able to do for them financially, you're going to lose them if you haven't done the inner work and kind of accepted that things are going to come to you organically. Okay? Last point that I want to make, just like the positive things that we manifest come to us organically, we've all heard the term karma is a bitch. So even the things, whatever you put out into the world, into the universe, it's going to come back to you. And karma is also something that we produce organically. So if you continue to put good in, even when you're not good, even when you're doing bad, even when you're hurt, confused, heartbroken, and sad, if you are able to put good into the world in that moment, you have to trust that it'll come back. So there is no, what does it say? The quote, there's no reward in wrongdoing or something like that. But you have to understand that sometimes if you were a messed up friend, if you were a liar, if you were a manipulator, that's going to come back to you. And when those things happen, when you on your high horse and you feeling good, you looking good, you think things are great, and you start to produce the negative things that you put into the world organically, you got to take that just like you ready to take a win. And don't take it and sit with it. Don't take it and let it engulf you. Don't sit with it and let it take over your mental space, because we can think we're moving 10 steps ahead and something knocks us back and it's just karma. But you have to take that karma, take that negative moment, take that lesson, take that downfall, take that L, and analyze why that's returning to you. What have I done? Who have I been to other people for this thing to happen to me? And if you truly feel like it's not, analyze what it's teaching you. Analyze a lesson that you've yet to learn. That may be it too. And I think I've associated, and I just thought about it this way as I'm saying it. We've associated karma with like, you were a liar, somebody's going to lie to you, or you were this and somebody's going to lie to you. But I think karma also shows up in lessons. God's been trying to teach you patience. So now you have this situation where you have no choice but to be patient. Right? The one project that you've been working on isn't finishing like you wanted to, because God is telling you to be patient. It's telling you to slow down. It's telling you got some inner work to do before I can give you this. You know, God is only going to give you a little bit at a time so that you have to come back to him. And so if you start to forget that when you're getting all these rewards and you're getting all these I was about to say not allocations, but you're getting all these advancements and recognitions, he's going to have to humble you a little bit. He's going to have to remind you that all of this can be taken away. You didn't learn a lesson. Yes, I gave you the thing you worked for before, but you didn't show appreciation. You didn't give back to other people. You never shared your light with anyone else. So now I got to run this lesson back in a different way. So understand that a part of producing organically isn't just the good things in life. It isn't just the rewards. It isn't just the love. It isn't just the mental health that you want, the house that you want, the car that you want, being an effective parent, being a good coach. Producing organically is also the negative shit that you've yet to sit and address. So the longer you take to sit with your bullshit, the longer you take to admit when you were wrong, the longer you take to analyze the negative parts of you is going to keep coming back. That's going to be a production that happens organically too. You can't do nothing about that, right? So don't sit here and think like, oh, just because I've been doing work. That's a part of where these curveballs of life come from, is there's a lesson that you've yet to learn. You know, it may have been small, and God keeps giving you lessons and keeps coming in your ear. And it gets louder and louder and louder and more intense until you sit down and actually address it. Okay? Now, this is going to be my last point in addressing some things that are negative before I kind of wrap us up. Even the things, and I'm talking about karma, and I'm talking about the negative things that you produce organically. Understand that you will also produce things that nobody knows about organically. So if you've secretly been doing some things that are not favorable, you secretly been saying things that are not great, you've been sneaky about things, even though you haven't been public about certain things. Oh, I'm private, I'm real low key, nobody know about me, but you still ain't shit. You just privately ain't shit. And that's going to come back to you. That's going to be produced back into your life organically. And it's going to probably be public. So you have to address all of your shit. Not just the shit people have heard about. Not just the things that people know. Not just the things that you can sit on a podcast and say, yeah, you know, I did this. I cheated. But, you know, I'm back and I found God and I wouldn't do that again. And I'm publicly apologizing to my life, my wife, my partner, my husband. Like, no, you got to address even the darker things that you've done. You got to address the times you cheated and didn't get caught, too. You ain't got to do that out loud, but it has to be addressed. You got to work on that. You know, so don't sit up here and try to just put on this facade of, I've owned this. Like, you may come on a public setting owning one thing, but there's probably 3, 4, 5 busloads full of shit that you haven't addressed that people don't even see. You know? So, with that being said, I'm going to recap this episode. I'm going to tell y'all my announcement because y'all about to share this and it's going to be lit. So, let me just go back through it again. We are in quarter 3 of the year. This is our produce phase, and we're talking about bringing the things that we've been working for into existence in the physical realm. I talked about what it means to produce organically, and that, again, is to cause a result to happen or come into existence. And then the word organic, we said, is to be produced without an artificial agent. I also said that you have to practice being still. You're not going to get your blessings and your peace and your relationship and your job and your love and the car and the house, all the things that you want, if you're constantly moving. God's not going to know where to send your blessings. So make sure that you are in position to receive those. When it comes to producing organically, what it is that you want to manifest, the vision that you have in your mind, the responsibility is yours. You have to fully let go of feeling like somebody is responsible for the things that you get or don't get, right? You have to take accountability and responsibility for that. You have to understand that once you've done the work, that's when everything comes to you. And not trusting the process, not trusting yourself, not trusting your work, not trusting God, not trusting the universe, not trusting the ancestors, whomever it is that you got to put trust in to get to where you want to go, that's causing more stress, right? That's going to cause you to worry, and worry, that makes your mind busy, right? So the peace of mind that you want isn't going to come when it's busy. Your mind has to be still and figure out what that looks like. And I have episodes where I talk about what that looks like. Also, the last point that I mentioned, understand that you don't just produce the good things organically. You produce the bullshit that you've also put into the universe. So all of that negative in the closet, back door, behind the wall, all the things that you do that you don't think nobody knows about, that's still going to come to you. Until you've conquered and learned and accepted that lesson, it's going to keep repeating itself, and it's going to be more amplified every time. So get your shit together, okay? If you haven't already, make sure you click the link after this to order your hard work journal on Amazon for the $10 holla. And the announcement that I have to make. So this announcement is specifically for if you are in Milwaukee or Chicago. Because if y'all really fuck with me, the drive is less than 2 hours. Y'all can pull up on me. So this is the first time I'm actually announcing it out loud, and promotion for it will be starting in like a week or so. But if you are in Milwaukee, I am actually hosting my first live in-person podcast. So Universal Teas is going to be live, in person, interactive. There's going to be vendors and food and drinks. The place that I'm hosting in that has a bar. It's a really nice Black-owned venue. So on August 5th, from 12 to 4 p.m. here in Milwaukee, Universal Teas is having its first live recording. And I would love for y'all to be there. Please be on the lookout for official promotion that's going to start soon. But y'all are the first people to hear it. So come out, chop it up with me, have a drink, order some merch. There's going to be vendors there. So if you are a small business owner, I am looking for 3 more vendors for this event. So if you are a small business owner or you know a small business owner in Milwaukee or Chicago, please get them in contact with me because we are going live on August 5th, 2023, right here in Milwaukee. So with that being said, I love y'all. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.